All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are here to check out this 2007 Acura TL Type S. So who do we have to thank for this opportunity? It is none other than Cary Imports in Cary, North Carolina. So all their information is going to be down in the description box below. So why are we here? Because you can purchase this car with a warranty. So that's why I come to this dealership. This is a true treat. You probably already know what this is. I mean, this car really doesn't require any introduction. I mean, it was supposed to be sold if it was a manual. However, it's not. It's the 5-speed automatic. I mean, what are you going to do? At least it's a Type S. I actually already came here and I did the regular TLs. So I'm going to leave a link to that down in the description box below as well. So you can check out my review of the regular TL, which utilized the 3.2 liter V6. This one, obviously, beefed up 3.5 liter V6. There is so much for me to talk about with the 07 and 08 models that I don't have enough time. So comment below, let me know if you want me to make a full technical analysis of the 07 to 08 TL/TL Type S. It'll be very long. It might even be very boring to certain people, but it'll be the most informative thing you've ever seen on this vehicle. So if you want me to make that, I will. But just keep in mind, it's going to be very long and boring. But anyway, let's just get into this review. So with all reviews, let's start out with the looks, of course, because, well, I kind of said in the original TL review, I love the way that this thing looks. It is one of the best looking four-door sedans in my personal opinion. I mean, what happened to design like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, have you seen the new M3s and M4s? Like, this is just such a classic, timeless shape, and obviously the Type S just enhances that tenfold. And I don't have time in this review to talk about every little facet that was changed, but it was a lot. So that's what I was saying. If you want to see a dedicated video on the technical stuff, let me know. But for right now, you know, the new wheels and all that good stuff, everybody loves that on these TL Type S's. Little torque steer right there, I like that. But anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, it's got these fancy little 17-inch wheels that everybody seems to like. Whole body kitting is a little bit different on this bad boy, so let me know. I feel like most people would prefer the way this Type S looks more than any other TL, so I'm just saying, as a whole though, this TL just looks phenomenal. There's not a bad angle on this thing, so let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But on to more pressing matters like this drive. I am in love with these older Honda Acura products. This was just, for a lot of people, this was it. This was like that last era of great Acura/Honda products. And I drove the 2014 TL as well, and I do like those cars, but this is just different, and I think a lot of people understand that. I mean, just by looking at this thing, they understand that technically the regular car did utilize a 3.2 liter V6, which was great. I love that car, but this Type S utilized a 3.5 liter, producing 286 horsepower and 256 pounds-feet of torque. And it's made it to this 5-speed. It is a more beefed up transmission for like the 07 to 08s. This is obviously the first 2 years that they actually even came out with a Type S model anyway. It was kind of like their last little model for this thing before it went away. This generation went away, that is. And I get it, you know, everybody wants this thing in a manual, but hey, you know, good luck finding that in the used car market without it being salvage titled or anything like that. This car is a clean title car. That's like 2 little accidents on it, but that's about it. Hey, some guy in a Range Rover taking notice to the Type S. That's interesting. That's the thing, you know, it's still a great looking car. He's still looking at it, but this vehicle, mechanically, even the 6-speed manual transmission, that was upgraded for the Type S. However, for 07 08, if you're shopping for this vehicle and you're looking at a regular TL, not the Type S, you cannot get a manual for 07 to 08. You have to go to the prior years for you to get a manual in a regular TL. Type S kind of gave you that option. But this 5-speed automatic, it's been tuned. It's like this sequential thing going on where it kind of rev matches and all that stuff, and it blips the throttle when you use these paddle shifters. So there is that. This thing is not completely stock, of course, and they got to do something to it, right? So I guess a previous owner or whatever, they actually did put in like this XLR exhaust system on here, so there is that. However, even stock, it's got like a free-flowing exhaust system kind of put on here. I believe even for the regular 07 to 08 TLs as well, and obviously a cold air intake system for the new generation, or 07, 08 TLs, not just bespoke to the Type S. So now the manual will get you a few little things, like a limited slip differential. And some people were saying that the manual also gives you Brembo 4-piston brakes in the front. I think you get that standard anyway. You don't have to go to the manual to get that. That just comes with the Type S's. But this these paddles are not doing anything. Let me yeah, you have to put it into the manual mode for you to access the paddles. But yeah, when I busted that corner back there, there's definitely torque steer with this. However, this thing does not have the best tires on it, some Ironman tires. I did an LS 430 review. That thing also had Ironman tires. But this is a lot of power. 286 horsepower, 258 pounds-feet of torque going to the front wheels alone. That is a lot of power. I actually did not notice the regular TL having this much issues with torque steer and all that. Again, these are not the best tires in the world. These are kind of like a plastic paddle, of course, it's not very nice, but hey, whatever, it's got it. I'm going to test out more of that in a bit. I will say, though, I love a 5/6-speed automatic transmission, though. They always shift, they always downshift when you need them to, and it's not like these newer 8 and 9 and 10-speed transmissions where it takes, you need to jump down 5 different gears for you to get down to second. It's just ridiculous. It's got a pretty jumpy little accelerated throttle pedal there. It doesn't react all right. This is definitely not bad for the year. This is definitely reacting better than it probably needs to. Good thrust. For right now, I actually, the TL, this is a great car for me because I found the TSX, at least my generation of 09 to 2014, it rode pretty harsh. The TL of both generations, man, I have not driven the first generation TL, but I drove the 2014. Dude, these cars ride really well. This is slightly stiffer than the regular car, but this is totally appropriate for daily driving. I have no issues with this vehicle. Another thing, you buy something like this, you can pretty much sell this anytime you want and get all your money back for it, so there's that. Brakes are great, of course, no problems with the braking performance. I don't have an issue with the regular car either, but when nice little hydraulic steering rack, has a great little feel to it. I love that. And they definitely made a lot of handling enhancements here. They retuned the suspension, of course. The damper mounts were stiffened up by 400%, so to increase the steering feel and all that stuff. I do notice a slight little creaky little sound when I, turn this wheel, but hasn't really affected the steering feel at all. It is so much fun to wring this motor out, man. That is just such a glorious sensation. This thing has about 88,000 miles on it, so there is that. And I'm about to go over some of these trash bumps here. It's definitely a little crunchy, this car. Obviously, it's got some years on, about 13 years old now, so you kind of have to forgive it a little bit. But definitely some road noise. Not too much wind noise or anything like that. It does utilize laminated glass. They've been using that since 04, but that was a 4.7 millimeter thick glass for the windshield and all that. This is now a 5 millimeter thick glass, so it's got thicker glass, so wind noise is not an issue. If you change out the tires, you shouldn't have an issue with the road noise and tire noise and all that good stuff. And a lot of people taking notice of this vehicle. I think they're wondering why I'm talking to a camera, but screw them. It handles planted. It's got a great handling dynamic. The chassis is great. Hondas in general, they have always decimated Toyota in terms of handling qualities. There's no doubt about that. They might ride a tad bit stiffer, but I would rather, especially in a normal car, a lot of probably kids are probably looking at this as a first car. No, these cars are not as safe as like the new stuff that are out right now, but at least handling wise, it's safe. I have a lot more confidence piloting a Honda Acura product than I do a Toyota product, especially of this era. Obviously this Type S, taking it to a whole nother level, double wishbones, 5-link, multi-link suspensions. Handling itself extremely well. Bit of roll with the chassis, but nothing unbelievable. This thing is about 3,700 pounds and it's handling that weight extremely well. It's got a proper suspension geometry going on with it, a double wishbone with a multi-link in the rear, so that's great. It is definitely crashing over the bumps a little bit more, but that was a terrible bump I just went over right there. And it doesn't translate into the cabin, which is a great thing, despite it being the more aggressive Type S model, if you will. I don't feel much of that induction tone like I remember. This doesn't have like that crazy kind of switch in tone after the 5,000 RPM mark. Obviously this is VTEC, of course, but I'm not really feeling it all too much. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of road noise coming through. It's because these dumb little tires on it. Yeah, I'll definitely put like a set of Continentals on here, or Michelins if that's what you're into. A few little rattles I'm noticing around the door panels and all that. The plastics are kind of rattling out a little bit, but this is one of the better aged Type S's I've noticed. See that? When I get on the throttle, it's always spinning the tires out a little bit. Is it unbelievable thrust? No, it's not, but it's like the perfect amount for the road for you to kind of like drive like a jerk off and really drive like foot to the floor all the time. That's what I'm saying. Like, these things are fantastic for like aggressive street driving, which I really appreciate. Because it's a front wheel drive vehicle, honestly, Acura gets a lot of flack, like, oh, it's not like a real driver's car or whatever because it's not rear wheel drive. Let me tell you something. This is a lot more fun to drive than the Lexus IS of this generation. They had more so BMW in sight when they produced this vehicle with the 5 Series and all that good stuff. However, this thing being front-wheel drive, I think is a little bit more versatile than a rear-wheel drive vehicle because you just put some snow tires on it, handle some good old-fashioned snow, no issues there. But the Lexus IS, I didn't drive an F-Sport or anything like that. Not that you ever find an F-Sport version of the IS, especially for that 06 to 2013 generation. But that was a very soft and wallowy car. This is far tighter feeling and handles a lot better, a lot more precise. I have great confidence in this thing. The IS was kind of, it was like a rear-wheel drive ES, honestly. It was very kind of sloppy and all over the place, which I was shocked by. Perhaps the sport version of that would have fixed it. I don't know, whatever. I didn't try it, but it's got a backup camera here when you put it into reverse. But yeah, rides just fine. Rides a tad bit stiffer than a regular TL, but totally acceptable. Steering has a good weight. Motor is phenomenal to ring out. Again, there is just so much for me to talk about with this thing, but I just gave you some driving impressions. Let me know if you want to see that technical analysis down in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior, because I believe all the Type S's, they get this infotainment screen as standard. So you got the navigation and all that good stuff going on here. I mean, it reacts decently well. I'm sure you can just replace this screen with like a Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Pioneer setup if you wanted to, because all the climate control is totally separated from this screen, so that's great. It's got its own little display up here with a digital clock up here, and it'll even show you like, what kind of radio that you're listening to and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's got this little thing here, so there is that. And it's got the ELS sound system, the 225 watt, I believe 235 watt, something like that, 8 speaker system. It actually sounds decent. It's not bad. It has an auxiliary in the center armrest here, and it's got the cassette deck, of course, and the CD changer here too, so there is that. Everything's stupid simple, easy to operate, volume knob, tuning knob, all that good stuff, very simple. I love that. Steering wheel, it's like the perfect, it's not super thick or anything like that, like a BMW M steering wheel, but it's just a great thing to grip onto. It's a perfect size. Love that. It's got some commands here on the steering wheel as well, so acts as utilize some of this trip computer information here, tire pressure monitoring, oil life, all that good stuff can be shown in the center gauge cluster as well. The center gauge cluster looks awesome. Love that. It's a nice little design with the tachometer, speedometer. That's great stuff there. You got automatic headlights, and that's always a great thing to see. You have auto one-touch up and down windows just for the front 2 windows here. The other 2, they're just, you have to, hold on to it there. And you got some real aluminum trimmings, I believe, going on here. At least that's what Acura said. I mean, it feels kind of like plastic, but whatever it is, it's kind of cool, I guess. And yeah, like this faux carbon fiber thing going on. You got the memory seats here. It is electric seats, of course, and these seats are plush as hell. Love that. I mean, the TSX seats, the generation after this, really uncomfortable. This is a far superior seat, so I appreciate that. Very plush car. I can definitely daily drive this. It's not an issue. Physical handbrake, like I mentioned, it's not the manual, obviously, and the paddles react decently well. It's not terrible, but you can honestly put in the automatic, and when you punch it, it will definitely kick down in gears because there's not too many gears for it to go down. It's only a 5-speed, so that's great. And but I would suggest you getting it with a warranty. That's why I come to this dealership. You got 2 big cup holders. You got heated seats here, put on low and high. That's always a great thing to see, just for the front 2 seats here. The glove box is pretty much all taken up by the books, but whatever. And the center armrest is actually a decent size. You can definitely put a few things in there, so that's great. You have a sunroof up here as well. Rear seats, extremely comfortable once again. And you have a decent amount of space. I'm 5'11", and I can definitely fit behind myself. It's not too terrible to get in and out of this thing. It's a little bit on the lower side, but it's going to be expected. Trunk is fantastic. Massive size trunk. Love the size of the trunk. It's very practical. I appreciate that with these Acura products, and you do have a spare tire back there as well. So that's pretty much an overall look with this TL Type S. Very unique, legendary automobile. One that's very difficult to find. I mean, hell, even an automatic, it's still such a difficult find, honestly. And they're either like super overpriced. I think this is what, like 11 grand, which is not too terrible. If you do a lot of stop and go traffic, I mean, I don't mind this automatic. This is a good transmission, but I get it. The manual is the one to have or whatever, but I appreciate this car. There's a few little negligible things I noticed, you know, like when I twist the steering wheel. I mean, the steering performance is great, but it's just something, I don't know, about the pump or something, just making a little sound. That could be a little obnoxious, I don't know, but and the rear kind of panel is kind of come off, so it needs to be kind of put back in place. But other than that, there's not really any issues with this vehicle. No check engine lights, nothing stupid about it, so that's great. It's got a slightly more crunchy interior, but as a whole, this is aged better than some of those European cars have, so that's pretty good. This is far more of a solid space than most cars than I would probably give it credit for. You know, it's like a Cadillac in here, not everything's rattled out, so that's good. But yeah, it's a car that a lot of kids aspire to own, and I think it's not a bad buy. It's a decent amount of power. It's front wheel drive, so you're not going to spin out of this thing. But that about does it for my review on the TL Type S. Let me know if you have any more questions down in the comment section below. All the dealer information will be down in the description box. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.